The Fortnite Chapter 6 finale event is set. We're breaking down the first leaks of Chapter 7, hinting at a massive shift in the island's lore. With the rise of demons, the return of the War-era mask, and much more, there's a shock. The most thrilling details are saved for last. The Chapter 6 storyline keeps rolling in the new Lawless season. And whether you're already Chapter 6, a fragment of the Zero Point landed on the island, bringing back its magical energy and unleashing demons from the spirit realm. This island is home to 3 siblings whose ancestors played a major role in its history. That's why Hope and Jones reached out to Kendo for help. Final showdown, the battle against Shogun X. Daigo took him down using dual blades forged from fragments of the Zero Point itself. Blades that one of the demons was finally freed from her master's control. This season, she's now working directly with Jones, who arrived here alongside Hope on a mission to recover the Zero Point shard, now trapped in the spirit realm. And Night Rose. She warns him that a huge threat is looming over the island. Because, let's be real, taking down Shogun X wasn't the end of the war. It was just one victory in the battle between 2 worlds. Hope tells us we need a new plan, but right now, we can't enter the spirit realm. And even if we could, they'd be waiting for us, ready to wipe us out. At its name, the spirit realm isn't just a hellscape filled with demons. It's more like a parallel world with inhabitants that look different, but they're not all evil. Jade even tells us that something darker is lurking inside those portals. Something we'll likely face in the spirit realm, retrieving the Zero Point shard, and saving the island. The thing is, Daigo isn't even on the island anymore. He shut down his mask workshop, the same place where he crafted the masks to save his sister. And now the place is abandoned. Whatever he's planning, he's doing it in secret. Now that we know how the last season ended and what's at stake this time, let's meet one of the most important new characters, Valentina. Fortnite is literally using her first week challenges to explain what's going down this season. One of the first things we do is help her break into a vault owned by Kane. She straight up admits that robbing him is way too easy. And this obsession. Meanwhile, the battle between the island and the spirit realm rages on. Jones and Hope are looking for a way in. Daigo is working in the shadows. And that dark force inside the portals is still waiting for us. With the return of my lore. Why? Well, Mioscles is still running around the island, and all of Kane's dogs absolutely hate him, as we saw in the trailer. But let's put that theory aside for now, and focus on what's official. Black markets are now a thing. Since Fletcher Kane hoarded all the gold and basically took control of the entire island, the other locals had no choice but to set up underground markets just to make some cash and survive. And that's where we meet the mastermind behind these shady operations, Skillet. Talking to him, we find out he used to be a thief back in the day, but now he's retired and just deals in weapons and explosives. That being said, all the skills he learned from his past life are now being used to train the next generation of criminals, like Cassidy Queen, Keisha Cross, and the others. Keisha, by the way, has her own shop in the black market. If you chat with her, you'll learn that Cassidy was her childhood friend, and they both ended up in this world together. Meanwhile, Cassidy Queen, another character, doesn't say much about herself, but does drop a huge detail about Midas. She used to be a huge fan of him when she was a kid, and there's a good chance they'll end up working together this season. Then we have Joss, someone who arrived in this magical world, convinced that everything must have a scientific explanation. In Week 2's quests, she asks us to extract a sample from one of the golden rocks on the island to analyze it. Apparently, we're about to uncover the true connection between gold and the island. And if the hints are right, this could tie directly into the return of Midas and his importance in the season's storyline. And to wrap up our introduction to the new characters, let's go back to Big Dill. Not only is he part of the group with Brat, but he also went ahead and created his own cryptocurrency, which, by the way, he straight up admits is a scam. Then there's Sub-Zero, who mentions the Mortal Kombat tournament. But yeah, that's a whole different game's lore. More importantly, he's looking for Scorpion, who's coming to Fortnite with his new mythic weapon. Now that we've covered the story and characters, let's get into what the final event of Chapter 6 might look like, and what's coming in Chapter 7. Either way, Fortnite left it there for a reason, and I guarantee it's going to be relevant in the future. And when Chapter 6 ends, well, we're moving on to Chapter 7. If you talk to Jonesy right now, he straight up tells us that this reality only received one fragment of the Zero Point. That means the rest of the fragments are scattered across other realities. So down. And with every new chapter, Hope and Jones will probably team up with new allies on different islands, just like they did with Kendo. From the start of this season, Kendo has been introduced as Hope's new friend. If you talk to her, she talks about how much she trusts him and how he protects her. On the flip side, if you chat with Kendo, he makes it pretty clear how he feels about Hope. A relationship between them seems almost inevitable at this point. And if that happens, well, you already know where you're gonna hear about it first. So don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to dive deeper into Chapter 6's story, check out the full breakdown of See Charlie Wen highlighted that small detail without reason. It's very possible that in the near future, we'll see other realities that will play significant roles. The Fox Clan and the River Guardians are originally from Reality 783. Yes, my favorite Drift, Vi, and the rest of the crew in white and pink kitsune masks originally came from Oninoshima. That said, there's one amusing inconsistency here. Drift initially ended up on the Chapter 1 island because of a rift that opened in the real world. So, it's still unclear which reality Drift originally came from. If you have your own explanation, feel free to share it in the comments. The relationship, the Fox Clan mastered the ancient art of creating masks. And these weren't just regular Halloween masks or party accessories. These were full-fledged magical artifacts that allowed many samurai to absorb the spiritual energy of Oninoshima. The Fox Clan transformed their craft into true magic. In simple terms, they essentially invented an equivalent to Naruto's chakra. Everything seemed fine, until a few mask makers created masks that were way too overpowered. These masks became such a threat that the other clans on Oninoshima declared war on the Fox Clan, as their magic posed a real danger to the island. Leading the resistance was none other than the River Guardians. This clash, known as the War of Shadows, led to catastrophic destruction. The infighting among the clans caused the ancient masks to spiral out of control, opening a gateway to the spirit realm. Only by uniting their forces were the samurai able to seal the rift using the Dragon Gates, which you've likely come across by now. The final battle for Oninoshima took place at Night Shift Forest. And if you wander through the area, you can still find remnants of the fight, such as spears, swords, helmets, and other gear. A local legend has also spread about a samurai girl who, in her effort to protect her clan, became trapped forever in the spirit realm, a ghostly dimension. She fell under the control of a powerful Oni, who turned her into his puppet. By now, you've probably guessed this legend refers to Night Rose, who can currently be found in the Demon's Dojo. Eventually, the Fox Clan destroyed all mentions of the mask-making technique, but as we later learn, they weren't entirely honest. The world remained at peace until a fragment of the Zero Point crashed onto the island. The power of the reality core awakened the ancient magic, reopening the gates to the spirit realm. If you're curious about how the locals reacted to this, I've got some exclusive footage from a homie, Jonesy. After leaving the Chapter 5 island, Jonesy and Hope are on a mission to find a mysterious artifact that Hope compares to Pandora's box. Hope believes these powerful trinkets are just pieces of a much bigger puzzle, which leads the team to Oninoshima. Here, they meet Kendo, a local samurai, who, along with his brother Daigo and sister Jade, is already battling demons after the gates were reactivated. Hope and Jones quickly realize they're in the right place and join the fight against the demon world. But this demon-fighting family isn't as ordinary as they seem. They're descendants of ancient samurai who fought in the original War of Shadows. Remember how I said the Fox Clan wasn't entirely honest? It turns out their craftsmen secretly passed down knowledge of mask making through generations. The most skilled of them is Daigo, who, under it extractor in the game files. Essentially, Daigo grinds spirits like a blender, turning them into pure energy to forge the masks. Not exactly the most humane method when it comes to those poor sprites, but anyway, something clearly didn't go as planned. The mask Daigo crafted for Jade accidentally transported her to the spirit realm, which has created a lot of tension between the brothers. Honestly, Daigo seems pretty shady overall, as you can pick up from his dialogues with Mizuki. He's definitely not as straightforward as he appears. Thunder also seem to hail from Reality 783. That's pretty much the backstory of what's happening on the island right now. I left out a few details to avoid turning this video into a full-on lecture about Chapter 6's lore. Let's be real, Not everyone wants to know how Oninoshima has developed over the past 1,000 years, but at least now you have a general understanding of what we're dealing with. While Hope and Jones are busy battling demons, they're missing one critical detail. Where did the reality core fragment even come from? And more importantly, where did it go? Something tells me that fragments of what was once the most powerful object in the multiverse don't just randomly travel between dimensions, let alone land in places capable of activating sealed gates that unleash hordes of demons. I'm almost 100% sure this is all part of some incredibly well-planned scheme. If Charlie Wen learned anything from the mistakes of Chapter 5, we likely won't see the true villain behind all these events anytime soon. Frankly, I don't trust anyone or expect much at this point. Just think back to Chapter 5 and its underwhelming villains. Each one of them had the potential to be far more interesting. But the most frustrating part has to be how epic completely botched Doctor Doom's arc. At the start of the season, they hyped him up as this ultra-powerful force who effortlessly took down the Avengers, Ultron, Thanos, and even Galactus. But by the end of the season, he got taken out by regular loopers with basic weapons. Seriously, how many times can they pull this? If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and if anything new comes up, we'll post about it on my channel, where breakdowns of teasers, trailers, and other major news go up as soon as they're announced. Huge respect to everyone who made it this far into the video, and most importantly, have an absolutely amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.
I kinda need to act up, brother. Kick, turn me up, so bring on the mayhem. It's about to be a knockout. Bringing out the big guns, putting all the stops out. This ain't what you expected. Buckle up, it's about to get hectic. One for the money and two for the